All right, let's dive in. Today we're tackling liver health after, well, all those holiday indulgences.
Sounds timely.
It is, especially given the article you sent in. It's from Infobay, an Argentinian news site. And the title, let me see, it's Healthy Liver, Key Habits to Protect It After the Holidays.
Interesting.
It's just published January 7th, 2025, so very recent. And what's really cool is they've got insights from top UK hepatologists. Yep,
Dermatologists.
liver specialists, so we're getting a global perspective here.
I like it. Global perspective.
And get this article really digs deep into how the liver works. Did you know, just one little fun fact, that your liver is responsible for over 500 functions in your body?
500. Wow, no, I did not know that.
It's wild, right? It's like essential.
Absolutely. Essential is a good word for it. One of the hepatologists they interviewed, Professor Debbie Shawcross, she describes the liver as an enormous factory with hundreds of production lines.
Love that analogy.
Right. And it's true. It's constantly processing everything we eat and drink, filtering toxins, making proteins that our bodies need.
It's amazing how much that one organ does. Makes you realize, we got to keep it healthy.
You really do. But that also means it's vulnerable. I mean, think about it. If one of those production lines goes down, it can impact hundreds of other processes.
That's a scary thought. So what are the things that threaten our livers the most? I noticed this article pointed to two main culprits.
Yeah, the big two, according to hepatologist Stephen Ryder, are alcohol and then fatty liver disease, which of course is often linked to obesity.
Okay, so too much alcohol, we kind of know that one. But what's actually happening in our livers when we overload them with alcohol or, all that fatty food?
Well, imagine your liver working overtime to process all that extra stuff. It gets inflamed like a muscle after a really intense workout, and over time, that inflammation can cause scarring. Doctors call it fibrosis. And if it keeps going, well, it can lead to cirrhosis, which is much more serious.
Potentially life-threatening even, right? So the damage just builds up. That's kind of worrisome, especially, I remember this from the article, early stages of liver disease, you don't always have symptoms.
That's the tricky part. You might not even realize there's a problem until it's advanced.
Which, I gotta say, makes all those liver detox products seem pretty tempting. But honestly, do those things actually work?
The detox question. Here's where you gotta think critically. Remember, your liver is already a master detoxifier. It's designed to eliminate those toxins naturally. The experts in this article, they were pretty skeptical about all those quick fix detox solutions.
So are you saying there's nothing we can do to help our livers recover? Are we doomed?
Not at all. Not doomed. It's more about, shifting the focus from detox, this idea of a quick fix, to consistent healthy habits.
Okay, so less about the quick fix, more about long-term care.
Exactly. Things like reducing how much alcohol you drink, maintaining a healthy weight, eating a balanced diet. Those are the real keys here.
Makes sense. Small changes, big impact. Speaking of small changes, there was this one thing in the article that totally surprised me. Ready for this?
Hit me.
2 cups of coffee a day can actually be good for your liver.
Interesting. Yeah, hepatologist Ahmed El-Sharko, he pointed that out. Coffee's anti-fibrotic properties.
Anti-fibrotic, say that 5 times fast.
Right. Basically, it means coffee can help protect against that scarring we were talking about.
Coffee A&D, a healthy liver. I like how this is going. But what about the liver's ability to regenerate? I always hear about that, how it can, bounce back.
It's true. Your liver does have amazing regenerative abilities. Even after damage, it can repair itself. But, and here's the catch, that regeneration really depends on you addressing the root cause of the problem.
So if you keep drinking too much or eating poorly, your liver can't keep up with the damage?
Sadly, that's right. Even the liver has its limits. Prevention and early intervention, those are key.
Can't just rely on its resilience forever. But this article also made it clear it's not just about alcohol, right? There are all these other risk factors for liver disease.
You're absolutely right. We'll definitely get into those. But first, I think it's important to talk about one of the scariest parts of liver disease.
Okay, what's that?
That it can be happening without you even knowing it. No symptoms, especially in the early stages. This is why regular checkups, screenings, they're so important.
Yeah, Professor Shawcross, she really hammered that point home. Early stages often go unnoticed. Got to be proactive.
I agree. Regular checkups, things like blood tests, a fiber scan, these can help detect potential problems early on.
So being proactive, staying informed, that's key. But before we get to those other risk factors, let's just bust one more myth. We talked about detox products, but what about this whole idea of detoxifying the liver? Is that even real?
Not really. Hepatologist Ryder was clear on this one. He said, and I quote, "The liver already has an efficient system for eliminating toxins." He went on to say that, sure, unhealthy habits overload that system, but a lot of those supplements, the ones marketed for liver detox, there's no solid science to back them up.
Another myth busted. It's not about the quick fix. It's about understanding how our choices impact our liver, making good decisions. But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, there was something else in the article that caught my eye.
It's kind of interesting. We often think of liver disease like as a drinker's problem.
Right. But this article, it's clear there are all these other risk factors beyond just alcohol.
You got it.
Yeah.
And I think one of the big concerns these days is, well, the rise in obesity. The article really highlights that, how obesity is a major driver of fatty liver disease.
Yeah, hepatologist Stephen Ryder, he really drove that point home. He was explaining how, that excess weight, it can lead to inflammation and scarring in the liver, eventually progressing to, you guessed it, cirrhosis.
And it's not just the weight itself on the liver, the physical aspect. Obesity often comes with like insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, and those also increase your risk.
So it's like one health issue leads to another, and eventually, bam, your liver takes a hit.
Exactly. It's all connected, really highlights how important it is to take care of your whole body.
Speaking of connections, the article also mentioned viral infections, like hepatitis. Can you break down how those, actually affect the liver?
Sure. Hepatitis, basically it means inflammation of the liver. And there are different types of hepatitis viruses, but they all kind of do the same thing. They attack liver cells, causing, inflammation and damage.
And this damage, it can be like really serious, right? I remember the article mentioned jaundice.
Oh, yeah, jaundice. That's a yellowing of the skin and eyes. It's a sign that the liver isn't working right. It can't process bilirubin, which is a yellow pigment. It's produced when red blood cells break down.
So basically, yellow skin, yellow eyes, that's like a huge red flag.
Absolutely. Call your doctor right away. Early detection is key when it comes to hepatitis.
Good point. Okay, so we've talked about alcohol, obesity, and hepatitis. But what about, well, just getting older? How does aging affect the liver?
Ah, yes. Aging. Well, as we get older, our bodies change, and the liver is no exception. One of the things that happens is a decrease in the liver's enzymatic activity. Basically, it gets less efficient at metabolizing stuff, including alcohol.
So that's why Professor Shawcross warned that, the effects of alcohol can worsen with age. It's not that we're drinking more necessarily, it's just that our livers can't handle it as well.
Exactly. Even if you've always been, a moderate drinker, it's important to reassess as you get older, maybe adjust your intake a little bit.
It's like our bodies are constantly changing the rules of the game, right? What worked before might not work now.
That's a good way to put it.
So we can add aging to the list of risk factors, but let's not forget another big one, and that's smoking. How does that affect our liver?
Well, the article pointed out that smoking can speed up fibrosis, which, remember, is that scarring we were talking about. And, this is important. When you combine smoking with heavy drinking, the risk of serious liver damage, it just goes way up.
It's not just about the lungs then. It's about the damage to all these other organs like the liver.
Absolutely. Smoking, it's a major risk factor for a whole bunch of health problems. Quitting is one of the best things you can do for yourself.
Preach. Okay, so now, something a little different. The article mentioned genetics. Can our genes really influence how our livers handle, alcohol and toxins?
You bet they can. Your genes play a big role in your overall health, and liver health is no exception. For example, some people inherit genes that affect how they metabolize alcohol, and that can make them, more prone to liver damage, even if they don't drink that much.
That's kind of scary to think that even if two people have similar drinking habits, one might be at a much higher risk.
Yeah, it really highlights the need for personalized healthcare, where treatments are tailored to your specific genes.
Fascinating stuff. Now, I want to circle back to this idea that liver damage can be silent, especially early on. What are some things we should be looking out for just in case?
Right. This is important. Professor Shaw-Cross mentioned this, how a lot of people with early-stage liver disease, they don't have any noticeable symptoms. So those checkups, the screenings we talked about, those are crucial.
The article mentioned blood tests and a FibroScan. What do those involve exactly?
So blood tests, those can measure your liver enzymes. If those are high, it can indicate inflammation or damage. And then a FibroScan, that's it's a painless imaging test, uses sound waves to measure how stiff your liver is. Increased stiffness can be a sign of, that scarring, the fibrosis.
So even if you feel fine, these tests can give you valuable information. But what if you are having symptoms? What are the red flags?
Good question. So, some common symptoms of liver disease, fatigue, you might lose your appetite, feel nauseous, have abdominal pain, and then, of course, the yellowing of the skin and eyes, the jaundice. You might also notice swelling in your legs or ankles, or you might bruise or bleed easily.
Okay, so any of those, definitely see a doctor, right?
Absolutely.
Don't wait. So we've talked about the bad news, but what about the good news? What can we do to protect our livers? What were some of the key takeaways from the article in terms of, prevention and just overall healthy choices?
The foundation of liver health is being mindful of how much you're drinking. The experts recommend, following those national guidelines for safe drinking limits. But remember, those can vary, based on your age, your gender, your overall health.
Right, one size doesn't fit all. Talk to your doctor about what's right for you.
Good point. And beyond alcohol, a balanced diet is huge. Make sure you're getting lots of fruits, veggies, whole grains, lean proteins.
And I'm guessing staying active is important too, right? Exercise.
Absolutely. Helps you maintain a healthy weight, which we know is key for preventing fatty liver disease.
So far, we've got moderation with alcohol, a balanced diet, and regular exercise. Anything else we should keep in mind?
Oh yeah, getting vaccinated against hepatitis A and B, that's smart. Protects you from those viral infections. And of course, if you smoke, well, quitting is essential for your liver and your whole body, really. Oh, and can't forget those regular checkups with your doctor.
Right, those are important for, monitoring everything and catching any problems early on.
Exactly. Prevention and early intervention, they're key.
Well, we've covered a lot in this deep dive. The liver's functions, the things that threaten it, healthy habits, busted some myths about liver detox.
It's a lot to process, no pun intended.
Right. But before we wrap up, I just wanted to get your final thoughts on how we can best protect this, this vital organ.
It all comes down to choices. Every decision we make, what we eat, what we drink, whether we smoke, whether we exercise, it all affects our liver. It's about taking a holistic view of our health and realizing that the liver, it's a big part of that.
Powerful stuff.
Mm.
Now it's your turn. What stood out to you in this deep dive? What will you take away and apply to your own life? Let us know. Join the conversation on our social media channels. We'd love to hear from you. We've talked about a lot of factors that can affect the liver, but there's one more thing from that InfoBay article that I thought was really interesting. Professor Shawcross, she mentioned how men and women actually metabolize alcohol differently.
Yeah, that's true. It's not just about body size, although that obviously plays a role, but there are these differences in how our bodies, actually process the alcohol at the enzymatic level.
So even if a man and a woman weigh the same, their livers might handle that glass of wine totally differently.
Yeah, exactly. The article explained that men, they generally metabolize alcohol faster than women do. And part of that is because of higher levels of, I think it was a stomach enzyme in men.
Okay, so what does that mean for women, practically speaking?
Well, it means women might feel the effects of alcohol more quickly and maybe more intensely, even if they drink the same amount as a man. And because of this, difference in metabolism, women, they might also be more susceptible to liver damage from alcohol, even if they're drinking less.
That's really good to know, because I think there's this idea out there that women just need to drink like a lady to protect their livers.
Mm-hmm.
But it's clearly a lot more nuanced than that.
Oh, for sure. It really, I think, underscores the need for personalized advice,
Yeah.
When it comes to health, what's considered moderate drinking for a man might be too much for a woman, even if they, have other similar characteristics. The best thing to do is talk to your doctor. Be honest about, how much you drink and any risk factors you might have. Such good advice. It's not about following these generic guidelines. It's about, really understanding your own body, making choices that are right for you. So as we wrap up this deep dive into liver health, what are the key things you want our listeners to walk away with?
I think the biggest takeaway is this. Your liver, it's an incredible organ. It's working so hard all the time to keep you healthy. And we often don't even think about it until something goes wrong. So let's focus on taking care of it, being proactive.
I like that, proactive protection. But how do we actually, do that?
It starts with awareness. We talked about all the things that can impact your liver, alcohol, diet, weight, those viral infections, whether you smoke or not, even your genes.
It is a lot, but once you know about it, you can start, making better choices.
Absolutely. Choose moderation, especially with alcohol. Eat a balanced diet, lots of those good, nutritious foods that support your liver. Get some exercise, helps you maintain a healthy weight. And don't be afraid to talk to your doctor, if you have any questions or concerns. All about taking charge of your well-being. There's no quick fix when it comes to liver health. It's about making those lasting changes, the ones that will support your liver for years to come.
Very well said. And hey, if anyone listening has, more questions about their liver health or they need help making those healthy changes, talk to your doctor. They can give you the best, personalized advice.
Awesome advice. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of your liver. We'll be back next time with another deep dive into a topic that matters to you. Until then, stay curious, stay informed, and stay well.